Live. Beautiful, we're live. So the feed will be about 10 seconds behind, so people will see it 10 seconds a little bit later. So guys, welcome to Little Black Book. We're talking to you guys about Married at First Sight. We are going to talk a little bit more about episode 11, but we're also going to dabble a little bit in terms of the whole series, give you guys a bit of a deeper psychological insight into the couples. I know some people in my comment section have been coming for me this week because I've been coming for Karen like there is no tomorrow. It was not personal, guys. Okay, it was not personal. It's just that, you know, I just was stirred. But I am here with some special guests today. I will also allow them to introduce themselves, let us know a little bit more about themselves, what they do. And before we go into the actual discussion about Married at First Sight, episode 11 as well. So if I speak first to Sophie, if you want to tell us, I already said your name, so you can't say your name in it. Do you know what I mean? But you know, you can introduce yourself. You know what I mean? Let's know a bit about yourself. Yes, Sophie. Thank you.
All right. My name is Sophie Hannah, and I'm just starting to create content really out there. I'm on a weekly show called Ethnically Speaking, which is a bunch of female Black UK women talking about current affairs and pop culture stuff. I also have a film review show. I also like to interview women of ethnic descent to talk about their careers and what it is that they're doing with their life. So just dabbling in a few things right now. But very happy to be on the show today. So thanks for having me.
No worries, sis. More than blessed. Yes, Master Curtis, go for it.
Well, first of all, it's a pleasure to be with you lot, man. You guys are the scholars for our channel, man. But yeah.
You are. Don't try it.
Here we are. This is the A team, you know. So yeah, man. This is Marriage UK. We've been running for about 5 years now, and we just been married for a few years, just talking about the journey of relationships, single, married, divorce. That's what we deal with. We give support outside of this forum as well, and I've loved talking with you guys. So I'm looking forward to this.
Beautiful. Thank you guys for joining us today as well. I know, you know, this Married at First Sight always gets people talking, always gets people being analytical, always gets people going really, really deep. And I guess, obviously, trying to go beyond what they just see on the screen, you know. And I think once you start analyzing TV shows like this, I think you do have to be a bit more, more aware of the larger picture. You have to go beyond what you're just seeing on the screen and actually try to delve into the reasons as to why someone behaves the way they do. I like to kick it off strong, you know what I mean? So let's kick off strong. Okay. Now, this whole week I've been coming for Karen. Okay, I've been coming for Karen. Okay, like there's no tomorrow. All right, and the reason why I've been coming for Karen is because I was seeing somebody who was saying they wanted leadership but wouldn't give up the reins of leadership. Somebody wanted somebody to be the man and take control of the steering wheel, but you're still sitting in the driver's seat. So I felt like it was an oxymoron, paradox. I felt like she was asking for one thing but doing another, and that's how I genuinely felt. But I want to offer it up to the panelists today to kind of give us, I guess, maybe a different insight. Or if you agree with it, fantastic, more the merrier. But if you can give us another insight into potentially Karen's behavior, and I'm not just talking about episode 11, but in terms of the whole series, why do you feel like Karen gets so much stick? Because she's getting a lot of stick. And I mean, everywhere she's getting it. I see the blogs as well. So why do you think Karen's getting so much stick? If you agree with it, fantastic. If you don't, also let us know why.
Do you know what? I would probably say, let me go first, because I feel like I need to protect Karen just a little bit. Like, I think Karen is just taking her time. She is a woman who has been thrust into a very difficult position. She's been married for 3 years to a complete stranger. And I think she's just trying to see, is this what I want? Is this not what I want? I see a woman who's just kind of like, I don't want to take the sexual side too fast. I don't want to say anything that I'm going to regret. I don't want to do anything that I'm going to regret. If this was our daughter, I think we'll be telling her, don't be throwing yourself over to some man. Take your time. But when Karen does it live on TV, suddenly she's making Miles feel bad. How does Miles feel? I feel like she's protecting her heart. And I think things are going to happen a bit better than some of the other people who just wanted to rush.
What's the strongest statement there, sis?
Sophie, you know what? If anyone else other than my daughter is a different set of rules, yeah? When it comes to our children, we need perfection.
You be like, act like Karen. You bring her to the TV screen, you be like,
take your time, girl. If it takes 6 months, it takes 6 months. It's like, that's my daughter. But Karen, it's different.
I hear you, Sophie. I ain't gonna lie. I hear you. You got me on that one still. I'm not gonna lie to you. Got me on that one still. Kurtz, I mean, I talk to us, man, sir. What's your feeling and sentiment towards Karen taking her time and them things there?
Bro, listen. You said go straight in. So this is it, right?
Fire them.
I like Sophie's take because it's important to get that other side balance for you. But I think that Karen is dealing with something that she hasn't mentioned on the show. So I think that, man, can I say, I don't like to talk about people's business in public, but here we are. She's in public, right? So I think that there is some type of abuse behind her behavior because she's a little bit too trying to hold on to power and very adverse to affection. And that's not normal. And it's an assumption I'm making. But I think that is the real root of her behavior. Because when she's asked, even after this time with the experts, what's going on? Why? She doesn't answer the question. And it goes deeper. I'll show you that later. Yeah. Me and Juanita had some real discussions around this.
But do you think she holds back any more emotionally than, say, Henry? Because Henry's not here for the. I'm just saying. On episode 11, Henry wasn't here for the He said, and I love Dr. Viviana because she pulled him up on it. He was like, "I'm just not emotional." And she was like, "We're all emotional. You just haven't tapped into how to act on the feelings that you're feeling. That's what's going on here." And I was just like, "Thank you for that, Dr. Viviana." But he finds it difficult to be intimate as well. Why aren't we dragging him like we drag Karen?
Cuz?
Bro, is it like that? It's like you just passing it on like that? Okay.
I got to sip my water.
Yeah, I need some water to sip, man. It's coming in a minute. My wife's listening. She's going to drop it in a minute. You know what? I'm about that language analysis. I'm no pro, but I'm into this. I'm hearing I like to hear what people aren't saying. And so when I summarize Karen, I find that she's hiding something. So to be fair, she is who she is, and rightfully so, because she is who she is. She's gone through, or whoever, what she's made up by. Even when it was my wife was bringing up that her mum was a certain kind of stern way with her. It didn't allow her to embrace any. Right, and there's that combined. So I think that Karen has gone through something and holding it back enough.
Look at that.
You look. Come on.
This is marriage.
Right? I'm telling you, in the UK.
Sweet things.
But I think with Henry, he's got genuine issues psychologically, not necessarily abuse-based. I'm just following the trail of behavior. And I think that he's got different issues, which I think everybody pretty much is genuine. They've got some people are holding back, some people are pushing it on. So I think that there's personality issues, personality types and traumas and stuff like that are playing their part in the way people are behaving. And I think for the small-minded person, we're just looking at the behavior and going, but
yeah,
you know.
Let me ask a genuine question. So, Sophie, I mean, have you taken it as slow as Karen has taken it in a relationship? To form intimacy, not even sex, to form intimacy.
After 3 weeks? Is that really the question?
I said exclude sex. Intimacy. Just a little intimacy.
You know what? I feel like for someone that you have been thrust into a very intense situation with. In fact, no, let me take it from the top. I think a lot of the people on the show weren't ready for marriage. Karen is one of them. I think there's a variety of them that weren't ready for marriage. And when I watched specifically this episode, it made in fact, I'm not going to say no names. It made me think of people that I know or friends that I know who will say that, like guy friends, they're ready for marriage. But then when they're in a committed relationship, they're doing all sorts of madness, they're acting out, they won't be vulnerable. And it's just like, are you actually ready? Are you actually ready? And that's what I see with Karen, because there's something that she said, like they showed a little flashback in this week's episode where she's walking down the aisles of the shopping and she's just like, oh, Miles, you know, you're so honest and I'm not used to this. It's really throwing me off. And it just made me chuckle because I'm like, what woman haven't you heard say, I just want him to be more open. I just want him to be more vulnerable. Like, this is what women say a lot of the time when they can't work out what's going on with the guy that they're dating. Hopefully not married, but if you're dating, I can't work him out. So the fact that she said that made me think, she ain't ready for this. She thought she was ready for marriage, but now she's in it. She doesn't actually want to do what it takes to get there. So I think 3 weeks in, I don't know if I've shown like more intimate, because I think what Kaya said is true. There's deeper things going on there. There's deeper things going on.
But you know what's gonna happen. You know what's gonna happen, and no shade on Karen because she's rightfully who she is. She will look back at some point in her life and go, yes, that was a good guy.
100%. She will. 100%. It makes me think of Love is Blind. I don't know if anyone saw that.
Yeah. I remember that show.
And do you remember, I forgot, her name was Kelly and she was with Cameron. She was with the guy who was like the blonde Christian guy. And he was like a really lovely guy. And she didn't want to be intimate with him either. And then she turned him down on the wedding day, didn't marry him. And then afterwards, she was just like, oh, I thought we'd be together. I'm so sorry. She made a mistake. And some people, they get this great thing. They don't know what to do with it. And like you said, in hindsight, they're like, man, I should have held on to that one. And I think, I agree, Karen's going to feel the same way.
Is anybody else not ready on that show? Sorry, no, bro. Oh, you were going to say, bro, go say it before I ask the question.
No. Carry on.
I was going to say, is anybody else not ready on the show then? Because
Olivia.
You didn't say Bret, but you're saying Olivia.
I don't know how many ways. No, Olivia. I didn't start with Curtis. I promise you. I mean, Olivia.
See, this is it. I'm with you.
Not ready.
So hold. Yeah, let's stick on this, bro. Are we here? We're here. Listen, you didn't say Bret though. You didn't say Bret.
I'm gonna say Bret's not ready.
I think
Bret's all right.
I think Bret's not ready.
I think Olivia's not ready. I think Olivia is not ready.
What makes you say that Olivia's not ready?
Sorry, no, go on.
Olivia, when she made some statement on the show this week, when she said some foolishness like, Dr. Viviana said, have you been intimate yet? And she said, no, I haven't been intimate yet, but I said to him, if he, makes a move, I'm not going to deny him. And I was just like, what?
We don't want that kind of sex.
Energy.
We don't want that kind. That's like,
if you want
hand, man.
If you want
second hand.
I was just like, I think that's borderline sexual assault. Like, really into it. But if you want to do it, then I was just like, there's something. And I props to Bret for saying, someone can say okay, but if they're not enthusiastic, there's a big difference. And I was just like, but that whole thing about she's not comfortable with the physical touch, she doesn't want this, but she just doesn't want to break down any barriers whatsoever. She doesn't want to let him in. She doesn't want to believe that anything he says is genuine. And she's going to have major issues in any relationship if she second guesses everything that they say. Whenever he says something, but did you mean it? So when Dr. Viviana said to him and he broke down and Bret was just like, when she smiles sometimes, that smile that I see, it just makes me feel like I've won something. He was like, that she don't give out smiles easy. So when she does, it's something special. Then next thing you know, they're on a dinner date, but did you mean it? Because I didn't think you meant it. And why didn't you say it to me the night before in bed if you meant it? And I was just like, you're just going to have to take him at his word. What can you do? So she doesn't want a husband. She thought she wanted a husband, but she don't want a husband.
Curtis, do you want to speak to that? I love that, Sophie. Go on, Curtis. The comments are loving you, by the way, Sophie. Go on, Curtis.
Yeah. You know what's interesting is that, like Juanita said in past, sometimes we want to marry someone who's just like us. And to be honest with you, you can't earn all that money and not put it down or be a bit more responsible with it. What it is that she's so no disrespect to her, she's so millennial that she is ultimately free as free can be, but dysfunctional as dysfunctional could be. And I mean that in the sense of I mean that in the sense of millennial kind of dominated mindsets lead to chaos.
No.
And so this girl, this is Sophie.
Hold tight, millennials. Hold tight, millennials.
I'm telling you straight. You have to get a little old school.
It's going on.
You have to get a little old school on life, because there are certain ways that have always been that are just necessary. Yeah, it's nothing that wrong with the progression, but think about it like this: she's got friends. This is something that rung for me. She has friends that are telling her, giving her bad advice, and the advice that they're giving her actually causes separation. Sorry, causing separation within her marriage. These friends don't know how to have a married relationship. They can't advise her. They're not advising her in a holistic way. And when I say the reason why I say millennials is because what it is that freedom is the priority, not unity, not oneness, not sacrifice. You understand? So she, like you said, Sophie, she is going to be dysfunctional forever until she realizes it's a us thing. I think she's trying to get Bret to live in her world, and she doesn't know how to make that compromise. And so she just wants to, I want to go out, I want to have fun. You can't do that in a marriage all the time. No matter how much money you earn. Yeah.
Do you know what?
What do you say to that, Sophie? Go on.
I don't completely disagree with him. I don't. Like, I am at the upper end of millennials, and I think very much there is a
not millennial mindset, not
millennial mindset. So I feel like I can understand what you're saying, because I think it's probably only my Christianity that stops me from going all the way to where I could probably see Olivia being. That's if I'm being honest, because I'm very much on my feminism, on personal autonomy, on making my decisions, on freedom, on having the freedom to do what I want and say what I want and be who I want, and all of these things. But I think very much now it is very counter.
Yep, you're on it.
If I'm being honest, I think sometimes it can be very counter marriage. I think sometimes there's such a focus on never, if you want it, don't compromise. If this person isn't going to be everything that you want, if this person isn't going to be everything that you need, you shouldn't have to compromise for the person that you are, and blah blah. And someone who's like newly married, it's my 2-year anniversary tomorrow. You have to compromise. You have to
agree.
You have to be able to put some things down and do what's best for the team, because you can't have any sort of union. And if people are saying that's not the case with marriage, think about in your work life, think about in your friendships, in your family. Sometimes something has to give, and it's not always the most enjoyable thing, but you're just like, actually the priority is the unity. That's the priority. And I think with someone like Olivia, when she doesn't want to kind of mold or change or this or that, for me, as Katie said, I'm like, this is not going to run. And you want to find someone who's going to slot into your life and be able to allow you to be 100% of what you are now. But that it doesn't always work that way. So an example, I'm going to speak really quickly.
Go for it. No, take your time, sis.
She's not one for physical touch. And I heard you talk on one of your previous podcasts about love languages and this and that. My physical touch is my least love language. like if I'm upset, a hug is not going to make me feel better. I'm just like, don't hug me.
I hate that.
Just say something nice. Say something nice to me. Buy me a gift. That's going to make me feel better. My husband's number one love language is physical touch. So long. If I said to myself, I don't need to bend over for you, you just need to know that's not mine and accept it, how is my husband going to know that I love him in a way that he can respond to quickly? Or because he can try other things, but if those are his natural top love languages, then I'm going to feel like there's probably some things I'm going to have to give on. So for me, I've had to kind of shift and alter to the point now it is more natural. So like if he's upset, I'll give him a hug, or I can hold hands, or we can cuddle, whatever. But I had to think about what's going to work for our marriage. Like what is going to make him feel love that doesn't come really at a personal cost more than my selfishness and my pride, if I'm being honest, because I don't lose anything by doing it. And I think sometimes what we've seen here with Olivia is it's like she feels like she's going to lose something by bending.
Come on.
And I think most of the time you find out like the compromises, when they work for the best of the team, usually everyone works out happy. So
Okay, you want to talk again? Yeah, go for it, man.
I'll talk all night, man. Listen,
go for it, bro.
You have to. I was watching the show this week, a couple of days ago, and I said to myself, these guys, there's a lot that they're not going to get at this stage.
Yeah.
But I think that Married at First Sight is amazing, because what it does is it shows you that it is possible if you bend, if you look at the other person first. Any marriage can work. Any marriage can work if everybody puts themselves second. So I'm working the show. So when you look at all these couples, they can all work. I just guess that if you've grown up having your own for 25, 30 years, you're doing really well. Let me tell you a big thing. Couples that, so you get together with someone. This happens in the Black community a lot. Here we are, right? We're in the Black community. And what happens is Black women, socioeconomically, are like, I think they're second to white men. Yeah? Black men are near the bottom.
Yep.
So when they find a man, what happens? They find a man, you get married, and you have a kid. And suddenly, economically, both of you travel right down. And it becomes a problem. And I think in America particularly, it's a real issue when it's like, when you're dating someone, you need to know about their credit. English don't think about those things.
We don't.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I've heard that.
You understand? So what it is that America's got a problem, because they've got to hold on to their money, their credit rating. And these are defining things for marriage. I mean, this is shallow on levels, because it's like, I'm saying to people, you've lost everything. Now you're starting again. I don't care how much money you earn. These should not be defining factors for how successful you are in a relationship. Let it go. Like this is why I'm always pushing Kojo. Our money. I'm always pushing our money.
That's what he says,
I'm not like, how much money you got? Can you afford it? Hey, here's the money. Let's do what we have to do. You understand why we're saying this, Sophie? Because it's like
100%. It's true. It's true.
That level of compromise is necessary, and I don't get that they're going to get that a few weeks in, but I wonder if they're ever going to get it. Olivia, I don't know if she'll ever. She would have lost. She's got a good guy there, right? He's got some flexing to do. She's got some flexing to do, but she's gonna lose a good guy, because if it weren't for the money,
and the cars and the clothes.
Well, let me ask this here, because I feel like Bret can get a bit of a rough time. That's what I feel, because Bret sometimes, for real, he's sarcastic at the wrong time. Sometimes he just needs to keep quiet. I'm not like, if he was my husband, I would roll my eyes and have to walk out of the room a couple times, because I'm like, you just need to stop. But it was something that he said to Dr. Viviana on the couch this week, when he said, when she talked about sex, and he was like, to be honest, he doesn't really want to try it with her, and he was like, the rejection does get to him, and it does hurt, but he's just going to kind of keep on trying and this and that. And that's why I said earlier, I think his sarcasm is what's the word? It's like a defense mechanism.
Yeah, defense mechanism. Yeah, right.
How much rejection? And how much rejection can men take before they want to stop opening up and being vulnerable?
One.
Because when
bro, that's too many.
That's too many.
I'm 0.5, 0.25. Not even one.
Yes, it's gone.
Look, I don't know how true this is. Yeah, men will talk about they're the hunter gatherer and this and that and blah 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 blah. But men in our society, like, they're kind of taught to be strong, to kind of go out there to get things, to be dominant, not in a bad way, like in a good way, dominant, all these different things. But sometimes the idea of manhood is built on something that isn't actually sturdy. It's built on all these things that you think a man should be. So then when you get a bit of rejection for some men, I think it hits them really hard, because their worth, like, sometimes might be in their money, how much they earn, or it might be in how many women can be attracted to them. Stuff that doesn't really mean anything. And I think with the rejection angle, for me, I think that he puts on that sarcasm because I think the rejection she keeps giving into him in various ways, like not being physical with him, talking about his house and his money and his this. Like, I think it's very difficult for him to bounce back, and the sarcasm is his kind of way of kind of hitting at her just a little bit to kind of have a kind of comeback. But yeah, I don't think they were on equal playing fields, because she really dominates in that sense. In terms of an argument, she knows how to shut him down, and I think the sarcasm is his last resort.
Flo, you're gonna say so? Okay, it's gone. I appreciate it, Soph.
Moving on. Attached to that issue is she's a little bit of an emotive. We haven't hit COVID episodes yet, Brett. Brett's going to be ruling his coin purse with the iron fist.
That comment is making me joke.
She got to get a little bit of thicker skin. I think that, there's different personality types. Of course, some are more sensitive than others. I think there's interestingly, sometimes people look so opposite that they look really bad for each other. And I see Bret. Let me tell you this secret. Bret and Olivia is me and Juanita. In some respects.
Spice it.
Without the sarcasm, because I'd be a dead man.
I'm glad you know.
Juanita ain't playing that.
she wouldn't have that. That sarcasm wouldn't last long. But in all honesty, in terms of how we think, Bret is more of a logic guy.
Agree that.
He's been told that you're hurting me. I remember back in the day when it was me, Juanita, she'd tell me how I'd make her feel. And I'd be like, that's what I'm trying to say. What's your problem? Just listen to what I'm saying. And she's like, yeah, but you made me feel a certain way when you said it. Woman, get off that. Just hear what I'm trying to... It don't work. Now, Olivia's now, but look how you made me feel. But he's like, but that's not what I'm saying. Do you see that? But actually, they need each other. That's what I'm saying. Humility will take people a long way. They need each other because they're both extremes. In that respect, they're a good couple. They're a good couple if they get humility. They need to get a joint account. They need to do a budget, and they need to have some. You know what I'm saying? They need to hit it. You understand? And I tell you, after they go them levels, they'll be a perfect couple.
I agree that. You know what? I think. Sorry, go on, Soph. Go on, Soph.
I was just going to say, I think as well, an area where I think that they're good for each other is that, from what we see, because it's obviously an edited program, so from what we see, she seems a little bit uptight, and I think that if she allowed him in, he might allow her not to take herself so seriously. Like, he's someone who is a bit more light, a bit more fun, and sometimes you need those opposites to be like, babe, it's not that serious. Come on, like let's just keep it light. And maybe she can give him a bit more of the seriousness, but she just seems so reluctant to let down this barrier. So reluctant. And I think that he can be someone who can just help her to see the lighter side of life.
Sure. Bret for me is problematic, he's problematic because I really feel like do you know what, I see both of them. So it's every week I see that I'm on Bret's side, I'm on Olivia's side. So I agree with you. I think they can work. They just get it sorted because both of them are the problem. One of the things the problem I have with Bret is the fact that there must be a time and there must be a season when you can bring the sarcasm. And like when you don't know there is a time and a season, I think that's scary. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, and I agree that it's definitely a coping mechanism, and it's definitely a defense mechanism, because we're only asking about the house, and my man said, well, stupid equity, you know what I mean? And it's like, yo, bro, no one's even saying that, cuz like, no one said that. Like, and so it's like almost as if he jumps ahead to try and protect himself. And I understand, because she makes 3 times more than him, like you already said, Sophie, as well. A lot of our manhood, and Curtis knows as well, a lot of our manhood in society is dictated by how much money you make. And the hard thing is to find a woman who genuinely doesn't believe in that. So as much as women say, yeah, I don't care if it doesn't make as much as me, you have to find a person who truly believes in that. Because when the going gets tough, do you really believe that? Yeah, when the bills are coming out your name and I can't afford to pay for it at that time, will you believe that? Do you understand? Because what Bret is looking, and this is what I emphasize with Bret. He's looking at going, hold on a minute. This girl makes how much money, but can't put money down for a house. She's renting at the moment. She's a free. Thank you, bro. She's a free spender. She's a free spender. How can you have more money than me? and not have savings and not have a house that you've bought. You're scary because for him, I've worked so hard to get to where I've got to. I'm not about to let you come along and destroy all of that for me. And I can see that protectiveness from him, that he doesn't want to give that space up. So I don't know. I don't know if you guys want to talk to that about how sometimes we do want to protect ourselves in relationships and how that can play out in a relationship.
Let me tell you something, man. Let me tell you something. Juanita and I have been together for 20 years, right? And for the better part of those years, Juanita was the earner and she was the bigger earner. I married a woman who had, because we're in the exact same field now, she had the greater earning potential. Then you have children who's staying at home. This is what I was saying, that when we go back to when you marry a black man, you can marry a liability. And you have now understand, because I didn't have an education when I left school. Okay. I was working, and when you get married and you have a kid, it's either you spend, and what was it at the time? This was 17 years ago, and we're looking at almost £1,000 per child. Wow. Per month.
Yeah.
Childcare. You understand? You got to think about this. Yeah. So what, am I going to go and do my best? How did that make me feel? Yeah, you have to understand, I have old school values. Or is it just values? Current day values too. Another debate. But I have old school values, and what that means is that I actually want to go work while she stays at home.
I hear you.
But when I was at home now, man, it's been, I've done it on and off for many years with my children, and we have 3, thank God, and we're still here. And now the roles are reversed. But I'm saying that when I started to earn more than Juanita, the truth is this.
You were excited. Tell them.
I was at the little. You see, it's there because it's there. It's there. But you see that little thing there. When you squash that too much, right? And you go and you're supposed to just go on like you're supposed to act like it's not even an issue when it is. But I thank God. You see, I know we turned into me and Juanita, but the thing is that she never rubbed it in my face. We did it as one. Like it was never, well, that's my money, or well, I'm the one that's working. None of those conversations. I don't feel like I have to protect anything. You know what I'm saying? So this is now the situation with Olivia and Bret is that they're both trying to protect their status, but they're married. So there's dissonance. It's confusion. Let me shut up now.
I hear that. Do you know what? I as a man, I want to
Sophie, touch on
Sophie's like, go on, Sophie, add to it.
Don't get me wrong. If you want to have separate money, you do what you're doing. But
no, I'm not here for the separate money. I don't think separate money can work in a marriage. Like I honestly, it just doesn't work. My money, your money. Very much when we did marriage counseling before we got married, me and my husband, when we talked about money, he was like, it's our money and you need to start thinking. So if I ever say my money in terms of like, I'm just going to go buy a dress because I'm just going to go get some of my money, he'd be like, our money. So you do have to be aware of that. I think in terms of the Olivia thing, if we're thinking about old school men and he's just like, I can't seem to provide for her. She doesn't want any physical attraction. This week she was complaining about it takes too long to get to his house. I have to takes me like 30 minutes. What am I gonna do? That's just time wasted. I'm like, what are you doing to allow him to feel like he's part of your life? Like you make it very clear there ain't nothing he can do for you financially. Currently, there's nothing he can do for you physically. And now you're saying
I'll be out.
It takes me too much time to even get to see him and it's long. I'm just
I'll be out.
That's why I feel he's acting. That's why I feel like he's acting out, and he's taken a lot of stick from her. And the fact that he's still there, I'm just like, Bret seems to want this more than I think a lot of other people would have been in. Because if you're gonna make me feel bad,
Bret's got supernatural patience, man.
Emotionally, I'd have been like, you know what? I don't need the other 5 weeks. I'm gonna tell you now, this is over.
He's got patience on levels, because I haven't got that patience, and I'm patient. Bret's got patience, you know. It's true what you're saying.
You must be seeing something different. I don't see that patience, you know. I ain't seen that patience. I'm looking at him like blood. Man's moving mad. I'm looking at him like he's moving mad.
Kojo, would you be there still if Olivia was giving you all that she's given to him?
Listen, I'm not gonna lie to you. That first conversation they had about sex, I'm not sure how it's gonna work. I said that I would have been out from then, but obviously, so I do agree in that respect. Do you know what? I hear you. I just, I don't know. I just saw Bret, and I just like some of his behaviors. Because look, even in the beginning, he was moving a bit. Even in the beginning, like when he was explaining about how he gets girls and stuff like that, like you really set a precedence. And the fact that Olivia had to hear it from someone else that you at a bachelor party were out here moving to gal. I'm thinking to myself, you know what I'm saying? I was like, So that's why I'm like, I agree though. He is patient because to not engage on that level with Olivia in that respect, I can understand it. But I just think to myself, some of the things that he be doing, like, bro, like you ain't helping nobody, bro.
No, he's not
verbalizing. He's verbalizing deep things about how he feels about his woman, more profound than almost
Olivia.
More profound than everybody else.
Okay.
The other guys, you know. So he's showing signs. In my view, I agree with Sophie in this point. He's showing signs, but.
Do you agree? Do you agree with the? But did you believe him when he said, "Oh, her smile breaks the crowds," and I said, "He is chatting was." I know those bars. Those bars come straight.
I believe him.
Come straight from the hood. They come straight from the hood.
I believed him. I thought.
What?
I believed him.
You believe this? You believe that? The active behavior.
You know what I think it is? I think a lot of people in the show they thought that something was going to magically happen. When they said I do. Yeah. So there was something that who was it? I think it was Karen who said, and they were talking about, he was like, do you trust me? And so at the beginning, like in bed, do you trust me?
Oh yeah.
And she was just like, well, I don't really know, and not where I thought it would be, and this and that. And I think that people had this idea of like once you get married and you have that legal stability, financial stability, there's certain stability in the eyes of the law. They thought that all those things that maybe they had been wanting in a relationship, trust and this and that would come easy. So I'm just like, I think that they're now starting to see, even in a marriage, you have to build trust. And fair enough, they've only been together for 3 weeks. But I've been 2 years. Curtis, you've been a lot longer. You still have to build trust in a marriage. This sort of trust that they think that they want to have at this point, and can I trust you with my heart and blah blah blah. Some people even in marriage who love each other are still trying to give people all the depths of their heart and their soul, because that is deep stuff. And I'm like, you guys thought that this was going to be some quick thing, like I get married and someone asked her, do you feel married? And I was just like, what does feeling married mean?
Sophie, what is feeling married?
It's like a birthday, isn't it?
This is it.
Sometimes it's a birthday, and sometimes it's not. It's clearly not a birthday. There's ups and downs, and I think for me, marriage for me is just about knowing that I said no matter what, we're in this. So for me, that's my feeling of marriage. Like if someone says you feel married, I'll be like, yeah, because I know that I said when I meant it that for better or for worse, like I meant that. So we work it out. So when they're saying I don't feel it or this, I'm just like, because they're not committed right now. They're just kind of see if this can run.
This is it. That's the challenge right there. For not all, some of them. We're gonna come to the others in a minute.
Yes, one of my favorites.
Okay, I'll leave Carl's married to late. So Christina and obviously Henry. Yeah, I think this is a very. This one's a tough one. It's complicated. That's the word I'm looking for. It's complicated because I actually genuinely, as much as I know people are on Henry's side, I genuinely do see Christina's point as well. I think it's so difficult when you're in a relationship with somebody who's not open to conversation, it seems. Yeah. And it can be very difficult, especially if your love language is quality time and you want that conversation and the person ain't even going past surface, can't even, it's going to ask you, how's your day? Is it right? Yeah. And that's all you get from them. It can be very difficult to do that person. I also see the other side, which is that when she says certain things, the language that's used is destructive. It's not even nice. It's not bad. It's destructive. You understand? So I get the two sides of her. And when I see Henry, I can understand. He's socially awkward. He's not as extroverted as other people in that respect. He has some aspects of him, because if you look at his family, they're all like that way. So that must have rubbed off on him in some shape and in some form. But his natural inclination is an introverted person who just likes to just be chill. He makes his jokes when he makes his jokes, or whatever, but give him a safe space to be himself. And then he will slowly get to where he needs to be to. But at the same time, I'm like, bro, when you slow as Karen right now, bro, like the way you are ancient, my man did, if you are forced to tell Henry, say, is your wife buff? He's like, of course I find it sexy. It's like, bro, like, why am I going to beg you to find out if your girl's paying? Like, come on, Henry. You know what I mean? So I don't know. What do you guys think?
You know what?
Stumbling over them words,
you
know.
think?
Those words.
You know what? You know what's funny? A funny thought came to my head. I said it to Juanita. I said, I reckon Henry's got a room in his house that no one's allowed in, and he's got bare whips and chains in there. But I see some fire in Henry. I've seen Henry, like, he must have switched one day, and I was like, Henry, it was a joke. It was a joke, Henry. Calm down. He's got some fire in him, he can talk. You know what this is? Some man need to just squeeze out, like when you got the toothpaste near the end.
Yeah.
You just need to squeeze out. Come on, try. There's more in there, bro. Come on. And I think that, just like everybody else, there's elements of them. And listen, if they don't do it by choice, they're going to do it by force. Life is going to make you squeeze. It's going to squeeze you to see who you really are. Henry can push beyond. But like you said, I think Olivia, she's so frustrated now. She's just like, whatever. I looked in her eye and I said to myself, she's actually walking out the door.
To be honest, I feel that I think she's ready to walk out the door. And I think that I'm going to say my favorite line. I don't think Henry's ready for this. Henry isn't ready for this. I think something that he said this week that was so revealing. Like, he was first talking about how he doesn't want to. Well, when he was talking about being intimate, he was like, oh, it's going to take him a while. Then when he put the blindfold on, honestly, I saw a completely different side to him. Because then he started talking about he was this former chubby fat kid. And he was just like, in my mind, or my friends say, I still feel like that kid. And I don't have the confidence, and I just don't feel, he doesn't feel good about himself. He has low self-esteem, low self-worth. And I'm going to come back to what Olivia said and trampled on my man when he was down, number one. But later on, when she spoke to him and was just like, when she said, I want to be someone confident, is it even something that you want? And he was just like, I mean, I'm not really sure. And for me, I'm just like, dude, like, if you're not even trying to feel better about yourself, I don't think the marriage is going to work. I don't think it's going to work, because, and this is something that I'm going to pose this to you guys. Does someone have to be fully formed to be in a marriage? Does someone have to be like worked on their self-esteem, be confident, be, ambitious and on the right track and have good credit? Like, do they need to have it all? And which ones, if you don't think they need to, are important and which ones aren't?
Go on, Kurt.
No. We're all married broken, man. We're all a mess. If Olivia had 6 inches more patience, and if she had sought advice, and I don't always think some of those professionals always give the best advice. I think if she had certain type of advice or certain kind of encouragement, like she was talking to us, she'd work out a better way to help him out of his shell. He's genuinely in there. And if it was a different woman, some women might look at him and say, I can work with that.
That's what I was going to say.
It's better than getting my head bust, I can work with a guy like Henry. I genuinely, so let me take to your question. You don't need to be, but what you need to be is interested. I've done some work with someone who has got daddy issues, which we'll come to later, I'm sure. And he's trying to get to a place where he's really kind of overcome his daddy issues so that he can do marriage well. And I'm like, bro, you learn to manage as you go. You just don't need to be that guy up there. You need to be right here and just managing your journey. And a lot of people are married with just baggage. That's just the way it is. So does Henry need to be? I don't even know what the term "not ready" is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's a funny term. It's a funny term because we have to work it out as we go. You know, I'm broken just being single, let alone with someone. But if you've got the patience to work with me, which Olivia hasn't had, but remember, the young in the game, and in America. So you know,
my thing is though to that one, Curtis. Though, like from the guy that you spoke about just now, who is trying to work out his daddy issues, from the things that you said you recognized in yourself when you were married to Juanita, what I heard is people who became aware of something and were like, I don't want this to be the sum total of who I am, and I want my relationship to get better. The fact for me, I'm not saying that what's his name? I'm not saying that Henry's not ready because of his low confidence. I'm saying when he was just like, it's not something that he sees as important to work on. That's where I was just kind of like, if you can recognize something in yourself that isn't helpful for your life and isn't going to be helpful for your marriage, whether it was a deal breaker for her or not, if someone has extremely low self-esteem, it's going to affect the relationship. It's going to affect the relationship. But if you're just like, if he had said, I want to work on it, I want to be better, I don't want to feel like this all the time, I would have been like, there's somewhere to go. I can work with that as a woman. But if you're like, it's not really a priority to me, I'm just like,
let me throw this at you.
Ooh, love this.
Okay.
So here we are in a marriage.
Yeah.
Sometimes people are not ready for a good 10, 15 years.
God
to start dealing with their baggage. That's scary.
That's struggle love, man. What's that about, man? Struggle love, man.
No, man. Let's get real. Sometimes 15, 20 years. I remember there was a couple in my church years ago. I got this inside story on a couple. Yeah, they were in there. They were in their 70s later, and he was an abusive husband. But our black grannies, they don't say nothing, right? And they're still cooking and cleaning for the man, right? And then one day we see him in church, gives his life to God, and you can bet that guy, he didn't even have being a grandparent, he didn't have the capacity to deal with his daddy issues, which is why he was so abusive. But where he was unable, his wife had to have the patience to be able. Do you get what I'm saying? So she has to make room. Listen, we don't want that bit.
Struggle love. That's struggle love.
Look,
you ain't got the mineral.
Let me just rearrange myself in my seat so I can come back on that one. Yeah.
You know what? When you're married, you have to make a lot of room. We are not all ready for the room that we have to make. Don't get me wrong. It's a choice. I'm not saying you're right or wrong. I'm just saying that some people work it out by stretching.
If you be out, you would need. I would have beaten you up.
Yes, I feel like yes.
Getting hot.
I think there are a lot of things that fit into that bracket. Yes, when we come on to abuse,
of course,
abuse for me, and the thing is, I think when we talk about abuse in society, we usually think of like physical abuse, but there are so many forms of abuse, and every single one has an effect. And I did a course I used to work in a hospital, and we had to do a course on domestic violence. And they were saying that when people got out of a domestic violence situation in their home, they said, what do you think was the number one thing that people were appreciative of? And we were all like, not being beaten, not being hit. And they were just like, no, freedom. To be able to go to the shop or spend money or see a friend. That's the thing. And for us, we can think that being beaten is the worst, but for a lot of people, it's the emotional abuse, it's the neglect.
Sophie, can I say something?
I don't know if I would tell someone ride or die that for 10 or 15 years.
No. Please. Let me pause a second. Going back on the abuse thing, I'm not saying that abuse is okay. I'm saying that's what they went through, and she made room. Maybe let's leave the abuse out of it. She made room for his deficiency, which happens with so many couples. Sorry, that's my point, guys. So I don't want anyone coming saying abuse is the way that Curtis is teaching. Not at all. I'm saying that that when someone is blind or they're not in a place to make changes. So looking at Henry, for example, Henry may not be in that place. He can be married And the only way for the marriage then to work is for her to stretch herself and wait. Who wants to do that? Who wants to do that? Forget the nature of it at the moment. The truth is that we will get married and then find out who we are.
Yes.
And then when my partner finds out who I am and what my past is, which he may not find out till year 5, 6, 7, which is why my husband's been like this for years. And I just thought, now she's found out, what's she going to do? And then she says to me, this doesn't happen with me, but you know, an example. She says to me, so how are we going to change this? What if I haven't got the capacity to change yet? She can either leave me or wait. Does that sound unreasonable? That's how a lot of marriages work. Is everybody is, sometimes I'm giving 180%, sometimes I'm giving 50% because I'm ignorant, sometimes I'm giving 150%, which is not fair. That's why I said, Olivia, I get her frustration, but being young in the game, people young in the game, it's easy to walk away because it's like, hold on a minute. Because you look at some cultures, I'm talking about, look at some cultures. Some cultures groom their children to be wives, to be forgiving.
But I'm saying that in the free world, we're taught to be individuals and protectionists. You know what I mean?
No, I'm hearing you. Obviously, obviously, from it's. I think me and Sophie looked at it, was like, was like struggle love? Was struggle love? Maybe we can't do struggle love. I agree with you, and I think there are nuances within this conversation when it comes to marriage about stuff that we won't see coming around the corner, right? And for instance, we're talking about Christina and Henry, and I genuinely believe that if they're coached, right, this can work. But if they're not coached, this ain't gonna work. And the reason why is because if somebody doesn't grab a hold of Christina by the neck and say, Christina, the way that you deliver your points, it's not gonna allow him to feel like he's in a safe space. He'll come back. He's never gonna be able to express how he feels and to be vulnerable. Because what we're asking for in a relationship is that you're naked, I'm naked. Now, some people find it very difficult to be naked emotionally in front of their partner.
Everybody does. I think everybody finds that difficult. Naked in body, naked in your emotions, naked in your thought process. It's all a pathway. And that's what I think when I said that I don't think that these guys realize that some of this isn't going to happen as soon as you get married. Because when Henry put on the blindfold and he allowed himself to say that she had gone through, that he had gone through this difficult experience, and she was just like, having no confidence in my deal breaker. I'm just like,
and get over it.
Girl, I'm just like, that was your moment to tell him thank you for sharing with me. Thank you so much for being vulnerable, Henry. Like I wasn't aware that you felt that way about yourself. And I'm so glad that you trusted me to tell me that. Like that's what she should have made it, a safe space so he can feel he can bring those vulnerable things to her. And when she said that, I was so mad. I was so mad. But then later on, when she said, it's not that I think I'm the best looking, it's not that I think I'm the bee's knees, I had low self-confidence and I work so hard on myself. She doesn't want to be in an environment where someone isn't confident anymore. Maybe it reminds her of how she used to be or how difficult things were for her. And that made me really see that she is kicking against it because she's just like, I've been there. And that's not somewhere she wants to go back to, and she doesn't want to be reminded of it. So when she asked him, is it something you want to work on? For me, that was her trying to say, is there anything here that will make me stay? Because I think now it's her fear that's preventing her from staying. If she was someone who was maybe always more secure in her confidence, my husband is very secure in his confidence. Like, he does not doubt himself. He was just like, his parents instilled in him a sense of self-worth.
Secure attachment.
Who they are just as human beings. You have worth, you're a human being, regardless what. For me as an example, I think women, we're told that our worth is in our looks, in our size, in our this, in that. We're constantly attacked. But he is so firm in his confidence that times where I doubt myself, he's just kind of like, no problem. I'm gonna remind you who you are. I'm gonna tell you who you are. That's completely fine. Like, and he has that, but she hasn't grown up with that herself either. She struggled with it, and I think she's fearful of being in a relationship with someone who maybe reminds her of what she went through and what she struggled with.
But adding to that, sorry to cut it quickly. I think that I don't think that Henry actually is attracted to his wife. I think he would be attracted to someone completely different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can it work? Can it work if you're not attracted to them?
Yes.
Really?
Struggle love.
No, you got to expound on that one.
Struggle love.
You got to expound on that one for me.
Wait. Are you saying that, sir? Are you saying from the man perspective, he's looking at the girl and saying he doesn't find her attractive? This is gonna work? Because I find it so difficult that from that angle. I'm just saying to see it from that angle.
Yes, I understand where you're coming from, but
go on, sir.
It is interesting. It depends on the type of marriage that we're asking about. Okay. Because around the world, we are probably a minority in the world where we marry for this thing called love. It's a Western thing, and it's very recent in history, the whole world history of, I love this woman, I like her personality, we're good friends, let's get married. I like the way she looks. That is a new thing. Doesn't mean it's never existed. It's just that people haven't always gotten married on those grounds. We get married for political reasons, because of culture, to have children, to build the family, worth, and so forth. So ultimately, I remember watching this Indian matchmaking show and years ago, and the woman said, "You will learn to love him. You will learn to love him." And it's like, because it's an arranged marriage, and arranged marriages have always been big around the world. And it's like, when I heard that was a good, probably about 10 years ago, I was like, learn to love someone. And then when you get married, how many marriages are surviving for looks?
None.
Right.
None.
That's true.
None.
They survive because of friendship and humility.
I agree that.
So yeah, go on. Sorry.
And trust and respect. Like, I'm
loyalty, faithfulness.
Yeah, Cardi B and Offset. And I had this massive conversation with some people when WAP came out. A lot of people were offended by the song. I wasn't offended, because I'm just like, I don't believe she believes this. She's trying to make money, and she's trying to do what's hot. That's what she has to do. That she feels she has to do to survive in the music game. There was one line she said in the song was, I don't cook, I don't clean, but you bet I got this ring.
Yeah.
She is now allegedly, or no, she's now filed for divorce from her husband. And that really spoke to me and a lot of women who were reacting to this song in terms of, all I need is WAP. That's all I need. Because Cardi
WAP stand for?
You don't know.
Wet ass.
Wet ass.
Yeah.
You understand?
I got you.
Okay. I saw reviews on YouTube where women talking about, yes, that's what you need. That's what you need. She didn't cook, she didn't clean, she got that ring. But I'm just like, Cardi B knows that WAP didn't keep her marriage together. It didn't keep her husband around. It didn't keep him faithful. Like, we are selling people a dream. It's true when you think that looks or being good in bed or all these other things that actually don't mean anything in times are tough. There are so many people, so many relationships that did not make it through COVID-19. Because when you're thrust together and you're in this situation, I spoke to one guy who was just like, I have never spent that much time around my wife before. I can't do it. He was just like, I'm so glad my job allowed me to work, because I couldn't be at home with her and the kids and the dog. He was like, it was too much. So exactly. So you're right, Curtis. Looks doesn't keep a marriage, because there's so many other things. I think you need that.
You need that little spice.
Listen, you see, when I look at my lady, right? Every year it gets better.
I hear that.
It's
fine wine.
It's not like we're looking better. She could. She better say the same thing about me. My body's changed a little.
Conditional.
So it's like, muscle was never. I mean, I used to be a lot bigger than what I am now, and muscle never made me have a happy relationship. But every year I look at my lady, I'm thinking, you're looking better. I tell her, you're looking better. I just like the way you look. But the attractiveness is something else. It's not the makeup.
I agree.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, there's something about the way she carries it. And I was saying to her, It's the way you carry it, man, that make you look nice. You understand? It's that, and this is why Henry will be unattractive to Christina, because he's not wearing it.
He's not your traditional kind of male.
Man's in a shell. Man's in a shell, and some girls might be cool with that, but man's in a shell that come out. But at some point, you're gonna have to come out, bro. You're gonna have to come out.
Look,
at some
man,
point.
I ain't ever dated. I haven't been in a relationship with any man who didn't, at least in the beginning, adore me. I think Olivia's gonna find it very difficult, because women, we want to feel wanted and loved and attractive and sexy. It's in the beginning, especially. And men aren't going after women that they don't want sexually, whether you have sex or not. There is a sexual attraction there. That's why they start in the beginning, and then once you get into the marriage or date later down the relationship, that's not keeping you. They have to have something of more substance. But if she isn't even feeling that initial, he wants me, and like at least that makes me feel like I'm connected to him, and I want to be here. Like, get something to work with. I need.
As I said, he's not, because as a man, that's what I'm saying. As a man, I just don't believe he's attracted to her. I think he's trying to. And like, do you find her attractive? Remember that one? I don't know if you saw Sophie, but there was one when he was like, do you find her attractive? What did he go? Yeah. That
told
killed
everything.
It, right?
Yeah, deaded it off. He didn't find
her. She's got patience, but she's like,
did you like dinner tonight, babe?
Yeah.
Like,
kinda,
no.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No. Come on.
You got me off the bat.
Nah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, so did you do that? Like, yeah. Straight.
Yeah. But you know what? But I think for him, obviously, when you look at, I think when you look at Henry though, and you look at his friendship group, because obviously there are some protective women in that group. It's interesting because obviously to have a circle of women like that, you have to have some level of. This is why I didn't believe when he said he's not emotional, because to have those kind of women around you. Okay, if you're a stoic type of male, that's not the kind of females you're about to attract. Do you understand? If you're not good with emotions, you're stoic and you're just to myself, that's not the kind of females that are going to be around you the way they were. So he has some level of emotional intelligence, because one of the girls, I even said it to Christina, and she was saying, "Oh, Henry helped me out when my sister died or whatever, and he was just there for me." So he has the capacity to do this. Absolutely. It's the fact that I believe that Henry is what we call, is it sapiosexual? It's when you are attracted to the mind before you're attracted to the body. Because for him, I think he's not seeing, like normally, like you said, I think most guys will be like, look, she's banging. That's what starts the conversation. Then we go and see, have you got the mind to match? But I think for Henry, I think the very early doors, when he saw the behavior, I think he saw himself getting eaten alive by this type of woman. And that just made him withdraw. You know what I mean? Because he obviously, you can see yourself, you can see what kind of energy she's bringing, and you need someone who's going to make you feel safe. And I think the moment that he saw a certain type of energy, he just went into the shell. So this is why I'm saying that for someone like Christina and Henry, I think this is why I get angry at Married at First Sight, that if the people who are experts were there and on hand, this marriage can go the way, because all it requires is a good conversation consistently across the board with Christina and Henry to say, hey, look, this is how he is. Henry, okay, look, this is how she is. Right? Because she's saying things like, look, I need a guy. When she's saying I want a guy to lead, what she's saying is, please give some confidence. Like, just give me some inspiration that you can take initiative. Right? He doesn't give that. So what does someone have to do? Someone has to be in his corner and say to him, bro, listen, she's not saying that, you know what, you're not, her type of it, but she's saying, bro, take some initiative and take a little bit of a lead here. Now you got to step out of your comfort zone. Here's how we do these kind of things, step by step. And as you're taking that step by step, then someone who's speaking to Christina say, listen, look, he's decided to take it step by step. Watch him, see how he's going, help him along. And then that way you got good conversation in both ears. But if there's no one speaking to them, I'm sorry, I can't even blame Christina for the way she's behaving sometimes, because you're not giving me nothing, bro. You know what I mean? I'm asking you what spag bowl. You're telling me I'm not sure. Tell me you want a spag bowl, bro. You know what I mean?
I'd be interested to know. But this is a quick question. I'd be interested to know whether other women that Henry has dated have been confident women. Or have they been kind of where he is at. Because I think if he's someone who, I don't know if it's crippling low self-esteem that he has, but it affects him enough to say that it really affects how he interacts with life. I think then seeing and interacting with this woman from the beginning of the series, who is just confident in herself, knows what she wants, is going to tell you, you don't hug me enough, you don't kiss. If he's going to be dealing with that, I wonder if it's because he's never been around that before and he just doesn't know how to react to that. Because I doubt if he was going after women like that. It's only a certain type of man that's going to go after the woman who is confident in the room and chatting to everyone and blah, blah, blah. And a man with crippling low self-esteem is not going to be that person.
Real spit is not.
Christina is, I don't consider her overly confident.
She's not overly confident.
No, she's not that.
But she's more in comparison to Henry.
Miles. and I've seen Henry. We've seen elements of Henry that are like, is that the same guy?
Yes, true.
So he's uncomfortable around her for various reasons. And I think one of them is like, I'm not attracted to you and I don't want to be in that emotional space with you. Ooh. I can't invest
I think
in that
this
next
week
step.
When he was honest,
he went right to it.
I think this week when he was honest, he showed that he's willing to go there.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
This brother's late. I mean, he's so late. He's the way he's approached this marriage is like this. Do you want to be here? Yeah, that's exactly what I see. He's given that pause all the way, and that is descriptive of the fact I think that he's not that attractive to her. He's not. And this reminds me of when Karen, it was like, to Miles, like, show him something. And so it was like, she's given him half hand holding, half touching. And it's sour milk. And you don't do that when you want someone. Even if you've got baggage, if you like someone, you will make a move. You would do something. Miles has done nothing. It's not just because he's not socially awkward when he's around his own people. He's got capacity.
That's very true.
He wanted it. See, guys, look, women, if you like someone, at least you're gonna throw something at him.
Look,
at least you're gonna call him a name.
If a guy likes you, you will never be in doubt.
You understand?
I think that women, we learn that late. Honestly, we don't. A lot of women, let me say, a lot of women that I know, myself included, we don't learn that earlier on. We try to decipher, what does it mean? He's not messaging me as much. What does it mean? This, that, and other. He's a bit cold today. What does it mean? It means he's not into you. That's just the bottom line. If he's into you, you are never gonna be in doubt that he feels like you're worth his time and his effort. If he ain't making that much money, then the little money he has, you're worth that too. Like, he is not gonna leave you in doubt. When we're trying to guess, he's not. No. He doesn't want you, and we rationalize poor behavior and make it mean something when it doesn't mean anything.
Wow.
Even if you're tripping over yourself, even if you made a spaghetti bolognese that tastes disgusting, even if you don't know how to be emotional, you're going to give me a sign. It's not going to be hard to read. If Henry wanted Christina, he would have shown her something, but he has to sit around, he has to do an activity, or he has to be in front of the professionals for you to see something. And he's trying to, and I understand that whole mindset of him maybe trying to manifest those feelings that aren't genuinely there. I don't know if anyone wants to.
You're being rough on him, man. You're being tough on him.
No, I'm breaking him down to say, just like Karen, I don't think you want to be there. That's what I'm saying about Henry. I don't think you want to be there. Is that hard?
Maybe. Do you know what? Maybe. And do you know what? I don't know if she's on his intellectual level. I'm gonna say it. I don't think she's on this intellectual level, and I'm not saying that she's not smart. What I'm saying, for his level, because like I said, I really believe that he's a mind person. So when you find someone who's not on that particular level, it can be very difficult to try and engage that person on a consistent basis. I'm like you said, I see him with the girls, and I'm like, this guy can chat. There's no way he can't chat. He can chat. Do you know what I mean? So he's got that in him, and like I said, when you look at his family as well, some of that has rubbed up on him. But I just wonder if maybe that's also playing into the fact that, listen, he's unable to feel free to be able to have those kind of conversations that he really wants. Because as much as Christina says she wants deeper conversations, I'm like, Christina, what have you brought to the table that's deep? You're asking the same question that he's asking. So I'm not seeing anything deep from you yourself when you ask a question. So I'm struggling. So, for instance, when he did the blindfold situation, right? I think, again, linking back to the whole mindset thing, like I think Sophie said, everyone, this was a perfect opportunity for Christina to be like, thank you for telling me. I really, really appreciate that. Why do you feel that way?
It was, Curtis. You know it was. It was. You would never counsel someone when they open up, shut them down, and be like, "That's exactly what I don't want in a relationship." You'd be like, "What? You gotta encourage your man."
Listen,
encourage him.
That was Christina's last card. She pulled her last card. She was like, you know when you're playing Uno and you're like, "Can I put down this ace?" You just put it down. She was like, "This is my last card. I'm not." You ever see people play dominoes and they mash it on the table?
Yeah,
that's what she did. It was the last card, mate.
How can she do that?
Oh,
No.
It was cold-blooded. It was cold-blooded.
You yourself have got ADHD. You struggled to tell the person. You struggled to tell Henry yourself. You didn't receive that reception. So this is why I'm saying that there needs to be a reflection on Christina's part, because when you were struggling to tell someone something very deep and personal to you, how you struggled with something, why would you then think? And this is where I think, you remember we spoke about Karen's abuse. I think Christina has been through some turmoil in relationships. I think she's been through some really hardcore relationships where she has not been emotionally safe, because the fact that you are struggling to tell someone something emotional and it's deep to you, but then you flip it and then you actually tell the person you need to get over it. Like, you don't see that you need to bring emotional care to this particular situation. That, for me, that shows the skewed mindset. You know what I mean? I know that she wanted him to be more confident. I get it, etc., etc. But even if I don't like you, if you bring that to the table, I'm not about to tell you now you need to get over it. Do you understand? Because I understand that that's something.
Look, like I said, I still think it's because, as she said later, she struggled with it. Therefore, I think it just made her feel very uncomfortable to be with someone who's in a place that I do believe in Curtis. I do.
It's like, no, I'm not buying it.
No, he's like, nope.
And I just think she's insensitive. I think she's frustrated and insensitive. And you know what? We do that in relationships at times. We're just like, look, man, child, I'm just gonna tell you how I feel. Bun theory, bun appropriate. I'm just gonna let
fall where they may. Yeah.
But she's been like that since the beginning. Huh? And I agree that, but she's been like that since the beginning.
Nah, she ain't been that bad, man.
What? When she's losing her rag, that's what she does.
This is Henry.
Are you forgetting the earlier beef they had in the kitchen beforehand when she walked out and then came back in, put her hands on her shoulders, and said, "Why you want to be here then?" Are you forgetting that, bro? Listen, she's always been rude blood. She's got it in her system, bro. When she's ready to go, she's ready to go.
That's what I'm saying. But I think that this is Henry.
I mean, I do understand it can be frustrating, but there's a way. There's a way.
I'm not like that. But I have been like that.
I hear you.
That's true. I have been like that.
Can we talk about somebody likable on the show, guys?
Who's likable?
Amani and Woody.
Amani and Woody. Yeah.
I know. We can't go there yet. Hold on. What's left?
There's Amani and Woody. There is Bennett and Amelia. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've not followed Bennett and Amelia for a minute still, but I do remember the fact that they're moving it. That someone's trying to move their job. Her job is taken away from him.
Amelia's gonna try and move away soon. Yeah, so they want to know if she's gonna go with her.
Yeah.
What's he gonna do? See her on the weekends or something? Are you crazy? What if across like 5-10 states? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, to be honest, he seems like he's gonna move. That's why I didn't really talk about them. But Woody and Amani are good people to talk about.
Let's go there then.
Yes.
So let me throw a spanner in the works. Obviously, everyone knows they're great. But I want to talk about a spanner in the works. My spanner in the works is that Woody has anger problems, which he's dealing with. He's gone to therapy for it, so fantastic, and I rate that. And I want to see more black people do that as well. There is also the fact that there was a scene where he was slightly controlling with the hair thing. Yeah, I know he wanted to be included, but it was slightly, and I say ever so slightly, controlling.
No.
It was slightly ever controlling. Do you disagree? What?
Yeah, I disagree.
What?
Yeah.
Hey, you better talk on it, bro, because I thought he was slightly controlling, bro. Man said, listen, if you cut your hair, you gotta let me know. I was like,
no, but think, hold on. If that's my daughter and she's with Woody, that can't work. but we're talking about them, right? I think that in terms of controlling, that would be different in different couples.
Okay, rock with that. Okay.
Because they have their thing, but people, oh man, he's saying I don't like change, so work with me. I was listening to that, brother.
I heard that. Mm-hmm.
I think he was saying, look, he didn't say it because he wasn't probably the articulating it and the maturity and so forth. But I think what he was saying was, I don't like change.
Drastic change, yeah.
Please don't do that without telling me. But what he said was, you can't change your hair with a. People might take that as this brother wants to rule this woman. I don't think so. I just think he said it badly. Because he's not shown a sign that he's going to control her. There is no evidence that this brother is going to control this woman. What is that he's just got a very what's the word I'm looking for? He's got a very kind of Stone Age way of thinking, a Stone Age way of communicating what he wants.
Sophie, would you agree with that? You don't have to agree, bro.
The feminist side of me is just like, it's none of his business. But I remember when I was younger, and I had some friends. One pair of my friends got married really young. She was like 23, and we all went through various stages of having shorter hair. And she checked in with her boyfriend at the time, who was now her husband, about cutting her hair. And I was just like, I would never ask a man his permission. I'd never let him know. I would never do that, blah, blah, blah. But like, I think, I'm just going to halve my feminist card, innit? If like being married, if I was going to cut all my hair off, I wouldn't ask my husband's permission, but I would definitely tell him. I'd be like, babe.
What if he said, no, I'm not going to ask you that. Don't answer. Carry on.
Do you want to end my marriage online?
No, I'm not doing that. No. I know this game. Sorry. Yeah.
No, because for me, I'm just going to it's going to look very different than to what you're used to. Like, I don't want you to walk in the door and have a heart attack, but I'm going to cut my hair one day. Like, and it's just going to be gone, or I'm going to go get my hair cut today and blah, blah, blah. So I would do that. I asked my husband now, like, what is your favorite hairstyle that I have? And he'll be like, oh, I like this one. I'm like, cool, I'll take it into account. Like, I'm not saying I'm definitely going to get that next time, but I'm like, I know what my husband likes. So I think that's probably as far as I'm willing to go. Like, I'm going to inform you. It's not going to be like probably a co-decision. Because for me, my mom always raised me like, hair grows. If you don't like it, it's going to grow. Don't worry. It's not permanent. That's the way that I see it. But I don't think that Woody has given any other signs that he is this controlling guy. I agree. I think some men just say things in a way that doesn't come across well. And my brother-in-law is very much like that. He's just going to say it straight to the point. And it doesn't come out like loving and caring. But my sister will be like, no, what he meant this. Like, he's my husband.
That's
I can tell you. I can tell you what that meant.
You're saying. That's deep.
Break that down for us, guys. Break that down for us.
Like, my sister's husband, I'm talking about this as much as I can. He's from Nigerian descent, and like, he has a very loud, bombastic voice. It just is. So whenever we do impressions of him, we're always just like, he's like, yo, get me that now. He's from South London. He grew up in Brixton. He has that London twang. So I have a friend who's from Bristol, and one time me, my sister, and my friend were all together in the car, and he must have called because we went out. We must have gone out late night roller discoing or something. We're coming back now, and we're like, oh, we're just gonna get some food. He must ring on the car intercom, and it must be like midnight. It's late, and he was just like, "Where are you?" And she was just like, "Yeah, we're just gonna go pick a bagel." All right, I'm just seeing where you are. Just let me know when you're coming. Yeah. She was like, "All right." My friend was just like, oh my gosh, why is he so angry? She was like, oh no, he's not angry. He was just checking in to see if we're okay.
Yes.
And I was just like, my friend was just like, but his voice sounded so, she was like, no. He was just concerned because it was late. So he was wondering where we were. But people can get caught up with the sound of his voice, the London accent of his voice, the tone of his voice, and think something completely different to what is going on. But in the relationship, you know what it is. So I think I can give Woody for now the benefit of the doubt and been like, that one thing doesn't show exactly who he is, because some of the things that he was saying in this week's episode and being vulnerable and talking about his dad and all that stuff, I think he shows that he is ready. He is ready to be in this situation.
Is he more ready than Miles or has he just got a partner that is more understanding?
I think he's got a partner. I think no. Go ahead, Curtis. Go ahead, Curtis.
Sorry. I love this couple. Listen, after all these years of me being married, they are an inspiration. I love to watch them because we are seeing a couple who are on one thing the same, in that they just tell you what they think. They don't say it in a prettiest way, but it's out, and they accept what's said. They look past all the tone. They can see the sentiment behind, even when they're trying to defend themselves. They can see this is what he means. I love them because they're giving and forgiving. They're not caught up in the emotion of it all. Not that they're not emotional. They're just appropriate it in a way that's conducive for the relationship. I love this couple because you can start off that way and then it changes into something else. It becomes stale. We become close because we've been hurting each other over the years. But this couple, if any couple that's been married for a long time would look at them and say, you know what, that's what we want. I want to tell you how I feel without you being offended. I want you to hear me without getting it twisted. Do you know what I'm saying? I love this couple. Yeah. And you know what actually, sorry, Sophie, very quick. You know what shocked me was when they asked that question in the street, what's your favorite sexual position?
I was gonna say that.
Go on.
I was gonna say that. When I saw they got that, so like, first of all, the voiceover comes on, they seem to be getting on, but let's see. And I'm like, why are you trying to cause beef when there ain't no beef? So when they threw in that question of what's your favorite sexual position, I was just like, oh my days. I was so impressed by the way that they answered it. And not only did it say, what's your favorite sexual position? It was like, why? And I'm thinking, there's a lot of people who can't cope with hearing what their partner likes because it was with someone else. That's where it comes from. It's because I like this sexual position basically because I've done it with other people and it's always worked for me with them. That's why I like this. And the fact that they both took it at face value and he was like, that's what you like? No problem, I'll store that for next time. And I was just like, that is a grown
Let's not get caught up in this and that.
Exactly. I'm like, that's a grown ass man. He wasn't he wasn't taking it personally. So yeah.
Something, he's the most immature yet mature man there.
Wow.
I look up to that couple. That couple are they're one of the greatest couples I've ever seen on TV. Serious. They're one of the greatest couples I've ever seen on TV. Because you're looking, what they have is that, it's unfair really. They've had that ready-made intimacy. The thing's been in the oven for a long time, it's cooked, it's ready. Yeah. They've got what people in other couples don't even understand. Like intimacy isn't like roses all the time. It's not making me feel, it's the ability to you understand me. And when I talk, you don't get it twisted. You heard my heart and you roll with it. You know my history. And the way that she gently deals with her brother, remember, the man's got a temper. She walks carefully, She thinks, she's very, you listen to her, you look at her, she thinks, she's like, so let's talk about your dad. Let's talk about your past. How does that make you feel? And then she just leaves it. Lets the man breathe. We'll carry on part 2 another day. That's intimacy. When you see someone in their mess and you're still, and you can say and accept them, and then you can see people, see your partner naked. Not just physically, but in every way. Like, I'm putting myself out there. Here's my weakness. They do that. I love them, man.
Yeah. And I think the reason why I say that they both seem ready There was something that he said when they were asking those questions that was so profound to me, because he was talking about his dad, and she was like, do you think that you've drawn a line under it now? And he was just like, he went, I had to, otherwise I couldn't be in this marriage.
Yeah.
And that just hit me, because I was just kind of like, how many people, men, women, are taking ownership of the baggage that they had and have and are like, I need to go and work on that. Because he was like, I had to go counseling. I had to work this thing out. And if I had enough, I wouldn't even be fit to be in a marriage.
Yeah.
Whereas we see all these other people in the show denying the issues that they have going on, not wanting to confront them, not wanting to work on them, but they just assume that this marriage is going to happen. I'm just going to be like, it's not. What you're looking for, that stability, that person to support you, to love you, it doesn't come without work. And it doesn't come without owning your own stuff and still working on yourself, even in the marriage.
You know what's interesting, Sophie? Let me throw this in there to take it further a little bit. Am I the kind of person that my partner can say anything to?
Ooh.
Do you understand? Like, can she tell me secrets about her or me?
Mm-hmm.
Am I that kind of person that is going to make her not want to say what she's got to say? Like Woody and what's her name? Amani, yeah, Amani. They can take it. Like, they are both sanctuaries, places of refuge for each other. They are a star couple, because they're showing us, really, this is it. So what they haven't done is they haven't allowed their baggage to interfere with what they are.
Yeah.
I love them. I can't stop saying it. I love them. They're the epitome of what we're all striving for.
Perfect match, it seems.
I hope they stay strong, guys. I really hope that they do.
As in,
they're gonna have some sick arguments, man.
Yeah,
I really hope so, man. Because the show wants them to be dramatic.
They're gonna have some sick argument. They're going to throw things, man. They're still perfect.
I said throw things,
bro. Let me tell you, man's got a temper. And she's still independent. You understand? Like, you can't.
Yeah.
But I think that because they've got their arrows pointed in a certain direction, which is something that Sophie said earlier on, like, it's not that you have to be fixed or perfect. It's just that your intention, because they're intentional, they will have their mad arms and make it back. Would he trust her? He trusts her 100%.
I agree that.
Ooh. But I wanted to ask you guys stuff.
Yeah, go on, Sophie. Yeah, ask the question, please. Yeah, go on.
So, because when they were kind of fighting in the bed about she wanted a dog, and he was just like, when we have a kid, then we can have a dog, blah, blah, blah. And even though they were laughing and joking about it, I was just like, these are people who are on the same page. Like, he was just like, oh, well, when we have our kid in 2 years, she didn't say nothing. Rewind to Olivia and Bret. Olivia's like, I don't know if I want children. And Bret was like, I definitely want kids. And then the counselor's just like, you might change your mind, Olivia. I was just like, Viviana, you need to slow your roll. Like, if she doesn't want to have children, we need to be thinking about that right now. Like,
mate, if it weren't for that money that she was making, she'd want kids, mate.
Oh, no, don't say that, Curtis. No.
I'm telling you. Do you know why?
No.
Because the sense of freedom that class can bring sometimes makes you have a different set of priorities. I'm not saying everyone's like this. I'm just throwing this in there. That if things are going certain way, like it's too good, I can go out when I want. I travel the world. Are children always going to be on the top of your list? No. But
no, they're not.
If and that's for some people, but if her class was different, if she was in a lower class or she had different priorities, it's the money. The money makes us see and do things, man.
No, okay. I feel like some women just don't want children. And I think that is a valid choice. Like, True. What I didn't like was Dr. Viviana saying to her, maybe you change your mind. Maybe when you're in love, I'm like, no, maybe she knows her own mind and she just doesn't want children. Like,
no, but she's married though. She's married, so she might change her mind when she eventually falls in love, right?
How many men don't want children and change their mind? People assume that women are going to do that. We're just going to fall so in love with you that I'm just going to want to have your babies. No, maybe I just don't want children. And I feel like
love lick you, man. When love lick you certain way, you'll be like, what do you want? Anything you want. You gotta get that. You gotta get when that arrow, that Cupid arrow, just goes. You know, that's when you know that things.
But my thing is, it's a deal breaker. Like they need to decide very early on if she feels like she's gonna change her mind or not. Yeah. You can't. There's no half. There's no half in that. It's not like I want a BMW, you want a Merc. What are we gonna do?
It's set her up to fail. It's set up to her. But obviously, Dr. Viviana was saying, obviously, you know, she got the impression, which I said, I don't know how you got the impression, darling. Did she say she want kids or not? You know what I'm saying? Because if she said maybe, you put her with somebody who said maybe too. As simple as it is.
Right.
You know what I mean? Don't put it with someone who's assured, because it's a deal or no deal situation with kids. Kids are not a toy you put on the shelf and take it off. It's permanent. Once you have one, this is it for life. You know what I'm saying? So I felt like that was wrong on the expert's part. You know, and I'm blaming the experts too. Maybe also that the way that Olivia was hinting towards having kids and not necessarily wanting it fully there too, also maybe pushed them to do that. But if she wasn't 100% sure, they should have never put her with somebody who's 100% sure. And that was always going to be a problem, because actually the very first episode we watched, or second episode, where he did a climbing frame and he got blisters on his hand, they spoke about kids. And she said, I don't know about the kid situation. So from then it was always going to be a problem, because he was intent that he's going to have kids. Do you know what I'm saying? Now, I do generally believe that Olivia potentially would change her mind, but he's not going to change her mind with someone like Bret. I'm sorry, she ain't going to change it. And, you know, I do agree that some aspects of it is because of money. Because she listen, if I'm going to change my lifestyle, I need to make sure that I'm covered. I'm not about to change my lifestyle into poverty. You understand? I'm not saying that he's poor. What I'm saying to you is the mindset of looking at someone who's not earning as much as you. She earns three times more. Not 20K.
She also spends 3 times more as well.
That's also true as well. You understand?
That's big.
She wants to go on those big ass holidays. You know what I mean? Nothing wrong with that. So there is a huge gap between herself financially and between herself and Bret, and the ideas that they have is considerably huge. So she's not going to want to bring a kid into that. She even if she was thinking about it, she definitely cancelled it now. You know what I mean? So I mean, for Olivia and Bret, I think that kid situation is a huge red flag. I don't. That should have been a straight away for the expert to say that's not happening, because she doesn't want kids and he does, you know. So, but I definitely agree with the Woody and Amani situation. I think they communicate. They do the very simple things, which is say how they feel. Person receives it, and then they give back the annotations here. This is what I heard from what you said, and I think that is probably one of the hardest things to do in a relationship, especially when it's not nice what you're hearing, especially if it's not always positive, but it's something that has to be constructively given to you. It's not always easy to receive that. Do you know what I mean? So I think they have a natural chemistry. I would say they are an abnormal bunch. I'm gonna say that because I feel like the way they gel so beautifully, it is not the norm to see that. You know what I mean? and to carry it through a relation, to carry it through for a marriage, because I think you can get that in relationships. You might get with somebody who at first you're clicking, but I think that aspect of communication where you genuinely communicate is something that is very rare. And so I think they have hit a gold mine. You know what I mean? I don't know if you want to add to that, guys.
Yes.
To be honest, I just want them to be able to maintain it. That's what I'm saying. I just don't want to be talking it up, and then in a bit, it's just we found out 1 year later the whole thing broke down. It will just break my heart. But I think right now, I'm like this. I'm like watching it like this. Like, I hope this can work out.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched a number of shows like this, 90 Day Fiance, stuff like that, and you look at things, and you're like,
that's not gonna work.
I mean, I'm really quite analytical. So again. No,
I was saying when you said about 90 Day Fiance, some of the couples in there, you're like, that's not gonna work. The way they're talking,
because okay. But you know what I'm looking at? I'm looking at potential, and my potential goggles are always saying if you just hold your tongue more, if you do this, if you do that. There's a lot of ifs, and some of those ifs are major challenges, and it is possible for any one of them to work. And I'm not saying that in the same light I said before. I'm saying it like, if Bret just pauses for a minute, if Olivia just pauses for a minute, if Karen just pauses for a minute and say, let me try and stretch this way. Let me be, actually, what she should say is, let me be honest, I don't want to be here. But if I think that what's his name, Woody and Amani would be a powerful force for people coming up. They should go a lot further than that show, because their example of, I said it earlier on, they are what we're all trying to be all the time, which is we just genuinely want to be close. Yeah. Even Olivia, she needs, everybody needs a relationship. We just genuinely want that. And some of us, we've got no emotional idea how to do it. We've never seen it, never practiced it. Some of us are not wired for it. There's learning to do. So it's their growth, or their position is something that is, again, a lot of marriages are just discovering after decades. You know what I mean? So I just think that they are the best thing that I've seen on TV in a long time.
I rock with that. All right, last few minutes. I got to come back round to my Karen and my Miles. You know what I mean? I got to come back to them. Okay. I got to come back to them. Okay, because obviously we touched on it, but we didn't go all the way in. I think I think yourself and Sophie and Curtis you went a little bit deep, but you didn't want to go all the way in just too early, innit? Because obviously, I'm gonna say again, obviously, I gave her a hard time, innit? I gave her a really hard time, and
is this your apology? Is this your public apology?
No, but this is an acknowledgement. This is an acknowledgement that maybe I was a little bit hard on her. You know what I mean? So obviously, with the Karen and Miles situation, I want to talk about Miles actually, because I think as much as I talk about Karen a lot, I think there is an aspect of Miles which I think is great. I think he is emotionally aware. I think he's intelligent. And he wants to try and make this work. There's a part of me that's like, he needs to speak up. You know what I mean? Like we talked about communication, right? And oftentimes we have silent expectations that never get said. And then we get hurt because we never actually said those expectations, but we expected that you would know that there was an expectation. And so I don't know if everyone wants to speak to the fact that, is there a need for Miles at this point to kind of speak up now? Not in a bullish term, not in a way to bully or anything like that, but actually rather to communicate that, hey, you know what? Right now, listen, darling, like some of the things that I'm seeing, like for instance, I saw, and this is a few episodes back, when she didn't come home, bro, you was anxious and you was feeling depressed, and you never communicated that, but you apologized for your behavior. And it was like, you should apologize for your behavior, because obviously the calendar thing, she felt a certain way. So you apologize for that. Quite rightly so. But then she does you dirty on that point, bro, and you don't communicate it. How was she meant to know that behavior was off? I don't know if you guys want to speak to that. Doesn't have to be that particular instance. I'm just talking about him not speaking up.
That brother is 50% of the problem. Yeah. And it's a dangerous place. It's better that you're mouthy than you holding it in all the time. It's better that you let it out than you hold it. And if it come out bad, it come out bad. But for holding it in, you are 50% of any problem. That guy, he would change his heart to something self-destructive to keep that girl. That's a dangerous man. That's a dangerous man, because he will become a volcano that will erupt. And men, when they hurt themselves to death. They hurt their women to death. That guy needs to regulate. He needs to regulate. He's got a lot of fears and anxiety. That's his thing. to mold your heart around destructive behavior is dangerous for you. All day long, you've got to tell your partner, instead of I was in a relationship like that many years ago. I took some nonsense because I like the girl. Some dangerous behavior. Who was I gonna be? Really? That's the fast road. That's the fast train to mental health. Let me stop.
I'm just laughing, Curtis, because I'm just like, man, I've been there. When you're just kind of like molding yourself to be what this other person thinks that they want. Like I said, I don't think Karen knows what she wants, because like I said, most of the women on there want the guy who's going to be open and vulnerable. Karen has it, and she's just like, oh, it's kind of freaking me out a bit. I don't really know what to do with this. So I think that he does need to just be like, are you in this or not? And just level with her. Like, do you want to be here? Because I want to be here, but I don't want to waste my time. So tell me what it is. And again, from personal experience, I have learned that the hard way, especially with guys. Guys sometimes might not let you know where they stand. Guys are going to get away with as much as you're going to let them get away with.
This is it.
But if you pin them down and ask, are you into me or not? Do we have a future or not? Do you want to be in a relationship with me? Do you want to have children with me?
It.
I don't know any man. Every time you ask them that, they'll be like, oh, well, right now, I'm not really. Like, they will give you an answer to let you know, okay.
They're not on it.
Exactly. If it's not a yes, I want to, yeah.
It's a no. Tell him, darling.
Exactly. It's a no. That's why I think he needs to level with her and just sit her down and just say, this is what I want. I want a marriage. And I want someone who I'm going to be with, and I want children. Can you give that to me? If not, we're wasting each other's time. Like, I'm happy to be patient if that's what you need, but part of me is telling me it's not what you need. You're just trying to long it out.
Come on. Let me tell you, man, she got all the power. She knows the game. You know what is interesting? Whatever she's been through, she's maintaining power. And you know what the scary thing is? At any cost. Like, the man's got mental health. Level with him. Be honest with the brother. Young blood, mental health is not stopping him from speaking up. He's afraid to lose the girl. Oh, you're afraid to lose, and you put up with nonsense because you're afraid to lose. Listen, man. Everybody needs to... Go ahead.
Yeah, I think the question that just came up about, do you think emotional intelligence should be taught in schools? I think 100%. We focus in society so much on intellectual attention, on IQ. That's what we focus on. Like, how smart are you? Like, what university can you go to? And I think it was when we did our marriage counseling, but our counselor was just like, IQ will get you the job. EQ, which is emotional intelligence, will help you to keep the job by being able to get along with people and read the room and read your boss and know this and know that. And a lot of times people don't know how to interact with each other or to read what's going on because their emotional intelligence isn't there. But it helps you to function better than intellect. Like, emotional intelligence is going to get you so much further in life and in relationships. And it is something that we need to put more of an emphasis on in society.
Yeah. I think it's a very I think the relationship is so difficult because I think the insecurities on both sides are different. And the problem with insecurity is that it grapples for power because it needs to feel safe, it needs to feel secure. Now, how that projects itself is where we're seeing a contest. Like you said, Curtis, that he will do anything to keep the girl, and she too will do anything to keep sovereignty, which is that I won't give myself too much to you because that would mean that I will give myself over to you. Because a whole point of a marriage, like you said, in a relationship is that we actually surrender ourselves to the other person. We actually give up power to the other person. If I lay my head on your lap, I've given you opportunity. At any moment, if you wanted to kill me, you can kill me. You know what I mean? So I'm surrendering myself to you. And when you've been hurt to a certain extent, it can be very difficult to try and render that power over to somebody else, because what you're trying to do is learn from your past mistakes, and you might not have another solution as to how do I deal with the situation. So the way you might deal with it is by, I got to protect myself in any shape or form. And the reason why I say that is because when she went away for a whole night, didn't tell him where she was, didn't say where she had gone to, and came back and then was looking for an apology, that apology was feeding the ego. And I'm not saying that she's egotistical. What I'm saying is about the thing that's protecting her, because often it's our ego that protects us from the hurt and the pain. So for her to feel secure in that relationship, when she didn't come back and say, listen, you know what, my bad, I went away and I didn't tell you where I was. You might have been anxious. You might have been scared. My fault here. She went into, okay, cool, I'm ready to talk. And I'm expecting you to say something here right now. Do you know what I mean? And so from one angle, you may look at it as that person is just really, really bad. But actually what they're trying to do is they're just trying to protect themselves. But if there's no new injection of information into that person, then that person will continue with that particular behavior, because there's a consciousness and a subconsciousness to this behavior, which is that you are aware that you're grappling for power. But at the same time, there is not enough information for you to change this behavior. So it becomes very difficult to do another course of action because this is all you know. You're actually reacting instinctively. But to change that behavior, you actually have to inject yourself with knowledge in order to change the trajectory of where you're going. This is why when we're having this conversation right now, as we're feeding each other with knowledge, the Bible says iron sharpen iron. As we're talking, we're actually changing trajectories of the way that we think. Now, we might be going back and thinking about some past arguments that you had. You think, right, did I should have gone like that? Maybe I shouldn't have gone like that. Why are you doing that? Because now the information that's coming in is changing the trajectory. But when you don't have that, in Karen's case, with her pet, and her mum as well was like stiff upper lip. We don't know where the dad is. I don't know what's going on there. Past boyfriend, we don't know enough she but he had a kid and she cheated. It's a lot of stuff that potentially could be, you know what I mean?
Bro, let me throw this in there. This in there.
I'm sure.
Let me see if I can attack this right. I agree with you in principle. You are absolutely right. But interestingly, this principle can be applied to people who commit crimes.
I agree.
So therefore, when you commit a crime as an adult, you go to jail.
I agree.
But nobody then looks at your past and say, well, you know what, Kojo, you should have known better. You should have done better. Yeah, I know. But so I think that Karen right now is a dangerous person. Not to society, to Miles.
Jesus.
Because she has to have, I think she's got enough ability to know what this could do to someone. She has to have I believe she has enough capacity to know that her behavior can only make things worse. But she chooses to sit there. And
I don't know.
Come on, let's talk.
I don't think that people always know when they're self-sabotaging. I don't think.
Sophie, hold on. Are you telling me that Karen thinks that this has a good outcome?
I don't think that people are always aware. Like, what about, and we are completely like thinking up scenarios around what's already gone on. Because as we know, we only know so much because of the show. But if she has never been able to trust anybody, if her father's not around, like we only see mum, if this other relationship didn't work out and she has this thing with men, her innate default at the moment might be keep pushing them, you know, every man leaves eventually. Every guy leaves eventually.
What about Woody? What would you say to Woody? Same situation.
Woody's not dating Karen. Woody's dating someone who
but they have a turbulent past. But they made different choices.
I agree they've made different choices. And I'm not saying that what Karen is doing is good, but I think she's trying to see how much he's in there on a subconscious level, because I think that Karen hasn't worked through her past things going on, and she is trying to see this person, Miles, and see if he's in it for the long game. But what she doesn't realize is that she's actually pushing him away. Like he's not.
She don't know that yet. Karen don't know that yet.
He's still there, Curtis. He's trying to work out with her at the gym. He's trying to talk about how they can bring intimacy in. He's still trying to make this work, and she is just kicking against it. Because
she's trying to find out if he's going to be there for the long haul.
On a subconscious level, if she hasn't had men in her life who've been consistent, then I think she's just kind of like, on some level, he's going to leave anyway. So, you know, like he's gonna leave anyway. I can do this because he's gonna leave anyway. And I just feel like that's where she's acting from a place of.
Wow, I hear that.
Do you know what I want to see before you go, Coach? I want to see this, and this is something that's frustrating me in the show. They need someone to help these people break down their lives a bit better, because a lot of them are failing and will fail because they didn't get good counsel.
I hear this.
Yeah, and I would
just get in there straight in.
Yeah, and I would add on to that, Curtis, that they would probably, some people will probably leave this experiment and think that the other person is the fault, not realizing actually you contributed to this, and the next relationship is probably going to be any different because you haven't worked out what it is yet to kind of get past this roadblock that you can't get to see this. Because these shows always start the same. I'm looking for love, but there's no one there. I'm just unlucky in love. I don't know why I haven't found it yet. I just want to be with somebody. And then you see them with someone, and as viewers, we're like, we see why you're not with anybody. Because you have some behaviors that are not conducive to a relationship working.
Because what you're saying, hopefully, maybe this, I'm trying to interpret what you're saying too, but every relationship is not about the other person. It's about you. It's about you. You got to look at yourself first. That's what I believe. Don't get me wrong. I think sometimes I'm well balanced. But you know why? Because before I got married, I was balanced. It's not that Juanita threw off my balance, but Juanita threw off my balance because when two people come together, even great people, there's a lot of this.
I know, I would probably say, Curtis, like, don't downplay what you're saying, because even if you're great people, it's still going to be like that. That's what I'm saying. If you're great people, it's mad. Yeah. Even then, it doesn't matter what level of the spectrum you're on. You think everybody thinks they're great until they're in a marriage, and then you're like, "Yo, I've got a lot to work on." You can be by yourself and you feel like you're cool, you deal with things okay, and then you rubbed up with someone and you're in the space together and you can't wait, and you're seeing all the nitty gritty of the character and this and that, and then you realize, yo, I've got a lot to work on. And it's about whether you want to work on that, because if you don't work on that, if you don't want to, your marriage is not going to work. If you don't want to confront who you really are, you are exactly who you are. And that's the thing, the only person you can change is yourself. So you can sit there talking about, my husband won't do this, he won't do that, he's not this, he's not that. It's like, what are you? Because that's the only thing that you're going to be able to control. So focus on yourself and be the best husband or wife you can be, even when it's difficult. And I think that's where the millennial mindset thing comes in, because we're not being told nowadays to stick it out, even if it's not good. We're very much in a society of, if it feels good, if it feels right, if it's not, then go find something else that you feel good and make it right. And when married, I don't know any marriage that anyone is in and said it always felt good and it always felt right. I've never heard anybody say that. So when people come against that in their relationship and their marriage, they're like, if it doesn't feel good and it doesn't feel right, oh, it must mean that this is not going to work. It wasn't meant to be, or something like that. Yeah. That's what we take it as, but that's not the case. And let's see where these couples go, because they seem to be coming, because they haven't built that love and foundation. When these tough times are coming, they don't have that to fall back on, like all those memories and experiences, and they're having to deal with it now. And you're just seeing very poor skills of communication, of conflict resolution, all of it together.
How do you deal with somebody who doesn't focus on, who's not able to analyze that they have flaws?
I mean, I think I answered it earlier on.
Flo, bro, give it to us again, because I'm trying to learn.
It's okay, because this is a big topic for me right now. Because I see the depth of it. We did a session with Joe Brooks on our YouTube channel, and it was interesting. He refers to this guy, I can't remember his name now, who looked at what makes marriages successful. And so they did an interesting study, and it's very hard to it's very hard to measure a successful marriage. Now, like you said, Sophie, your brother-in-law, I know him, and his tone of voice, that will send 1 million women in the other direction, but his woman gets it. and they're at peace with it because it's not an issue. And so one thing that they said was, so there were two elements that made a marriage successful. One of them was friendship.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just friendship, but it was a deeper level friendship, right? And the other one was grace. What do I mean by grace? Like allowing someone to be flawed and working with them in that process. And so this is why that question of, can you ever be ready for marriage? I don't know the answer to that. Because I think yes and no. Because I was ready when I got married, and then my wife pushed some buttons, or I pushed some of her buttons and so forth. Then you find out how unready you are. But we grace each other to, this is your fault. This is Kojo, this is who she is right now. And you make a choice to bear with that or not. For 10, and the thing is, the change that you're looking for may never happen.
Yeah. Yes.
That's the joke of the joke of grace is that because there's no date on it, and this is where Olivia fell short. Only 3 weeks in, it happens. Christina, sorry. She just got ratty with the man, and I looked in her eyes and I thought she walked out the door a long time. She's like, I'm done with this. This guy's not. But that might be who he is for the next 15 years. A lot of people haven't got the patience for that. But if you want to stay married, you're going to have to learn about grace. Because we as Christians, we've all got a basic, some of us don't even understand what grace is, to even give it to someone else. But when you start to get it, you're like, then now I have to start giving it to someone else. Now Jonathan's going to have to give it to Sophie. Kojo, you're going to give it to your lady. And that's the madness right there. Because grace is like, it's supernatural business.
Yeah. I think
Sophie,
for me, no, you're not. No,
people are learning, bro.
Gems. Like,
the right
I would say that's the thing that I would probably say no one told me when I got married was how much you need to forgive. No one ever told me that you had to be so gracious and so forgiving, because when people talk about forgiving in a marriage, I feel like people always think of big things. Oh, did they cheat? Did they lose £10,000? Did they lose your house? I'm just like, no, like those small things that you have to forgive all the time. And like that 70 times 7 starts to come in when you're married. Like, how many times I forgive? Oh, can you hear me?
You can't, can't count.
Yeah, like that 70 times 7, like it's just endless. And just being willing to always be gracious and understanding. And it works both ways, because I'm not even talking about my husband. I'm talking about when my husband has to forgive me when I'm acting a fool and this and that, and just constantly forgiving each other and not holding on to it and just trying to move forward. And that's where, and I think I've seen people see it when they have children, and I see it when people get married. They're just like, I didn't realize how big a thing love was, or I see a little bit more now of how God loves us, because the way that I have to forgive my spouse all the time, and I can't now let it affect how I act. Once I've said, okay, let's draw a line under it, let's just move past it, I can't bring up because it's not good for our relationship. But God is constantly doing that with us, and we don't even realize all the love that you're seeing that you're going to have to need in order to make this thing work. And not that pretty feeling of love of treating you in a way that you don't deserve after you've done something that's hurt me. That's when the love kicks in. And that's how God loves us. And that's why I think these relationships that's why when we see the way that marriage is kind of dealt with now on shows like this, like as much as I enjoy it, you're just kind of like, you guys are starting to see that it wasn't what you thought, right? It wasn't just, I'm going to meet someone and have great sex and they're going to be a support and we're going to be happy together. You're realizing actually this is a lot more than I thought it was going to be.
It's work.
It's work.
Yeah.
On that note, because I don't want to spoil the market, you see, I want them to come back the next time. You understand? So on that note, we're going to draw a line on you to stand there. And we're going to say, you know what? This has been a very interesting conversation. I think I've learned so much from having this wholesome conversation. It's been good as well, because I think we've got different points of views. And I think this show does open us up to really considering how we view marriage. It's not a fairy tale. It is not your Disney princess meets Prince Charming, gets married, has kids, and then it's all, you know, roses from there on onwards. There actually is a real genuine work that goes into this, and it's not always going to be pretty. So, you know, I would love to have you guys. Hopefully, if you guys are free next week, we can have you. Hopefully, if you're free, you know what I mean? We'd love to, because I think the conversation, I think this is rich conversation. Yeah, this is like, as much as we're talking about married at first sight, we are talking about marriage, right? This is, I think, other than your salvation, this is the biggest conversation after, because this one kills mentally, emotionally, financially. So if you don't get the decision right, you can die a quick death. You know what I mean? So this is a really, really big aspect of most people's lives, you know. So any final thoughts just to round up? Because I know, any final thoughts to give to the audience, some gems or whatever, and hopefully we'll get to have another time and tune in for this as well. Go for it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna steal one. I'm gonna steal your one, Curtis.
Steal away. Steal away.
I'm gonna steal your point, which was all of these marriages can work. They haven't got to a point yet where they can't work. All of them can. A lot of people aren't ready for it. But if they are willing to learn and look at themselves and do what it takes to compromise and be, these marriages can work. But I don't think everyone's ready for the sacrifice it's going to take.
Deep. My thing would be then, now you stole one of my last points, Sophie. That's fine, man. Is to, for all the viewers, learn. Don't just be entertained, man. Learn. Pick up on what you need to sort out and start engaging your own life. Learn from these couples, man. There's so many nuggets in this show. For me, it's education. Don't let it just be entertainment. You know what I'm saying? This is like, they're mapping out. I'm not making certain mistakes, and I'm just gonna watch the show and say, it's funny, you know. Let me show this in it. Juanita and I, we were watching one of the couples, and we paused and had about a 15-minute conversation, which took our relationship down a different road. Like, it's entertainment, but it's education. So learn from it, man.
I love that. I love that. I love that. Honestly, you guys have been special. And I hope we're not gonna not have another time to speak again, because I think again, I can see the comments, people are enjoying the conversation, and I think we don't get to hear much real, you know, conversations around marriage, you know what I'm saying? And when you do get to hear and be around, it's almost like being the equivalent of being around the elders, you know, when you get to sit around the elders and they tell you some true stories and you pick up something. This is almost the equivalent of being so. So, yeah, I really look forward to us, you know, coming together again, discussing more about marriage, relationships, and that's so. So, yes, Sophie and also Curtis, do you want to also shout out anything that you do at the moment that you want people to be aware of as well? Anything that you want people to jump on and
of course
also be aware
Sophie,
of?
what are you saying? You want to go first?
I'll go first. I was just going to say, just follow me on Instagram. I am Sophie Hannah. Very simple. I am Sophie Hannah, one word, where you can just see all the stuff that I'm up to right now. Everything I'm doing, like the shows I'm on YouTube, my own content, all the details will be on there. So follow me. Yeah, keep it moving.
Lovely. It's a great channel. It's a great channel. And this is Marriage UK on Instagram and YouTube. Yeah, we've got videos on Real Talk on this level, and Kojo and Sophie have both featured on it as well. I appreciate them. They are killing it. So tune in. Thank you for that, bro.
No, man, pleasure, man. Guys, I hope you guys have enjoyed as an audience this deep, rich conversation. We will be back next week. I don't know who I'm back with. We might be back with these two. You don't know. It depends on who's gonna, you know. But I believe the Lord is gonna bring somebody. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to sneak in there, guys. All right. But we'll be back next week, 7 p.m. as always, to have some deep, rich conversations. Please do have a great night. As well, if you have any questions, like I said, Sophie Hannah, I am Sophie Hannah is also there, and this is Marriages UK as well. They have some great content, both people as well. So yeah, guys, like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notifications, and we appreciate it. Ta-da. All right.